welcome to Strangely Alright, which is about people, places, and things in the Great Northwest that are a little left of center. People who are following a path unique to their own.
You're gonna find in this little journey, some of those things come from deep down inside of us. I'm Regan Lane.
And I'm Raymond Hayden. Welcome to Strangely Alright.
Hey everybody, I'm Regan Lane.
And I'm Raymond Hayden. Welcome to Strangely Alright.
Yes, welcome. Ray and I have been visiting recently about the media, how it tends to focus on that boisterous, loud, bad news of the day.
And because of that, good things that happen to good people tend to get lost in all the negative nonsense.
And we're going to try to find some of the good news on this silly little show.
Called Strangely Alright.
Yeah.
Which is about people, places, and things in the Great Northwest that are a little left of center, kind of like my good friend Regan here.
Thank you, Ray.
People who are following a path uniquely their own.
Absolutely. And some of that success, it's not going to be monetary you're going to find in this little journey. Some of those things come from deep down inside of us. And that's the thing that makes us all feel
strangely all right.
Yes, indeed. Our guest today, you know, he's a local musician, great guy, great singer, and he has a fairy tale ride that a lot of people are banding about that nonsense overnight success.
Right.
Yeah. And that's so far the same from the truth. This is a story of perseverance and faith. And we have triple Grammy winner Michael Wansley here with us. Shut the door. It's the Wands, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis fame from the hit Thrift Shop. He'll be here talking about that amazing journey and what it really means to him.
Right. And I understand that Michael is also a somewhat of a music geek like we are.
Absolutely.
So we're going to meet up with him at High Voltage Records, probably the coolest vinyl store in T-Town.
Love it.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Michael Wansley, better known by his stage names T-Wands and Wands, was born in Seattle on October 9, 1961, and is a deep-toned singer in various genres including R&B, soul, and hip-hop. He's rocketed to wide acclaim after he was featured on fellow Seattle-based duo Macklemore and Ryan Lewis' international hit single, Thrift Shop. Graduating from Lakes High School in Tacoma, Michael's life has been spent immersed in music. His early career saw him graduate from being a school choir regular to 7 full years studying jazz at Central Washington University in Ellensburg, Washington. Following stints singing covers in Boys Will Be Boys and playing bass in a funk outfit called Life Ring, he was asked to front the local, harder-rocking Ghetto Monks in the mid-90s. Although he continued to make music as a hobby for the next decade, Wansley's primary source of income during this time came from his job as a software test engineer. The release of Thrift Shop in 2012 was the catalyst which helped persuade him to leave his day job.
There's no funk in the F section.
No funk.
There's no funk in the F section.
So how does it feel, man, to be a overnight sensation?
Oh my God. I think what most people realize is that, you know, what they see in publications and on TV and stuff like that, it appears to be overnight, but what they don't realize is that there's so much that happens before you make a publication, and before you make a video, before there's a grind.
Oh,
I mean, I've been doing music. I've been like performing in front of people legitimately since October of 1967. I'm 6 years old on a schoolyard in Anchorage, Alaska, singing for kids. That's my very first memory.
Wow.
And I've been singing that's as far back as I can remember. And now, having seen a lot more, lived a little longer, had a few experiences, you know, there is a lot more to making the sausage than there is actually cooking it and eating it.
Hey, Wands, check out the new Black Keys album, man. They got everything here.
Black Keys.
You like the Black Keys?
I haven't listened to enough of them to actually get them yet.
Yeah, no, you know, I didn't really get them until the new album.
Really?
Cool, yeah. This
Yeah.
isn't their newest one, but it's pretty cool.
Right.
So, speaking of getting, what's your favorite album?
Okay, who's that? I can't remember. This starts with an S, I think. Stone Temple Pilots.
Ah, there we go.
Yes, I loved them. The stuff that's on radio now in hip hop R&B is like, I don't really get it because it doesn't really speak to me because I'm not that age anymore that they're pushing to. So the Jason Derulos and Ariana Grandes, I don't get them. You know, they seemed like bubblegum poppy type people, and so the people who have more experience and talking more about their life as opposed to the life.
Right.
You know, I get the people who talk about their life more so than the Jay-Z's and the Kanyes of the world, because man, I don't know what it's like to wake up in a new Bugatti. I don't know what it's like to spend stacks on stacks on racks and racks. But you get to this point where you're very comfortable with yourself and you really start caring about other people's opinion and how much that influences your decisions. And I mean, from clothes to food to where you stay, what you drive, it translates into the music as well, and who you are. I mean, on the road, it's like I try to get out and see kids in the line because I used to be one of those kids.
Sure.
You know, and talking to them, you know, what has resonated with them is the stuff that I talk about on my EP, Wander, you know, trying to figure out who I am. You know, like Ben says, you know, in one of his older songs, I had to lose myself to find out who that was.
Hey, Wands, you remember this thing?
Oh, man.
20-year anniversary, baby.
Yep.
Yeah, I was, when I saw this, I thought about the first time the Nirvana record came out. You remember that?
Yep. I remember the first day that I heard Smells Like Teen Spirit, and after it was over, and I said, that is the perfect single.
Did you ever see the Dave Grohl movie, Sound City?
I did. In fact, I just met him. I just met Dave a few days ago and told him about, you know, I was flying to Atlanta for a show, and I watched it because people have been telling me to watch that movie, and it got to the part where he and Sir Paul McCartney were in the you know, they're in the studio recording these background parts, and they get done with a take, and Dave looks over at Paul and goes, "It should always be this easy." And Paul pauses and then looks at him and says, "Well, it is."
Yeah.
And I started crying instantly.
Did you really?
I did. Not only the first time I watched the movie, but then I watched it back to back. I repeated watching the movie, got to that point, and that whole exchange happened, and I started crying again. And I was telling Dave this, and I said, I've thought that all my life.
Yeah.
And it was just heart exploding for me to actually see people on that level who were thinking exactly the way that I had always thought. It was a vindication of sorts.
And McCartney and Grohl is such a fan.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about watching the movie. I'm like, my God, he's such a fan. And that led me to thinking, I took my 5-year-old to see McCartney, my 5-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
And that connection is so crazy. So, and then of course Grohl's up there on stage with him and all of that. But that was leading me, I was thinking about famous people. You're in the game now. You're in the deal. You're at that level.
So people tell me.
Well, yeah. But what's it? Are people as nice as I think they are? What is it like? What is the experience like for you being at that level?
Most of them are, you know, most of them are nice people.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people who are exactly as they are portrayed. You know, there are some cats who are very, very standoffish because, you know, that's their persona. That's the product that they put out. You know, they're bigger than life, badder than shit, and that's the way they portray themselves, right? And there are some people who portray themselves in that light and being unapproachable who are just the nicest people, and most of them are just like normal people like you and I.
The Wands, I hear that you're going to be writing a book, and I'm curious where that inspiration came from.
That inspiration for hashtag the Book of Wands came from Andrew Jocelyn, who's the guy who does all the string arrangements and travels with us and, you know, plays violin.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, I'm going through an incident with my kid, with my youngest, and I, as I'm known to do, quote my father or some kind of psychobabble type stuff. And Andrew goes, you know, God, man, that's really like smart. It's really prolific. And I'm like, dude, I say stuff like that all the time. You should tweet that. And I was new at tweeting then, so he said, you should tweet that and put like, you know, that's just like the stuff that you read in a book. So yeah, hashtag the Book of Wands.
Did you go to school around here?
Well, around here, no. In this town, yes. I grew up in a little burb called Lakewood, Washington.
Nice, nice. I met you over in Ellensburg, and then you came back through Seattle. What are some of the bands that you were in back when you were a kid?
I moved to Seattle in 1986 as a member of Boys Will Be Boys, which was a long-since non-prolific band opening for your old band, Stripes, and some other bands from Seattle. And I was playing bass in the Robert Stewart Band, and that's the last band I was in.
Before the whole...
Before everything happened. I was pretty happy living in the north end of Seattle and working the best job that I ever had that I got in 2010 as a software test engineer, working downtown. My youngest son had been living with me for a little over a year at that point, and he had graduated high school, which when he came to live with me was totally suspect and probably wasn't going to happen. I had a job that I loved. I was in process of collecting gear. So, you know, I wasn't gonna make it in these bands. It wasn't gonna happen. And I'm crawling out of that hole of realization that, you know, the reality is like there's no such thing as an old pop star. They're paying me tons of dough, and yeah, at that point, when I became gainfully employed and was able to pay all my bills and was able to have work on relationships with my sons and you know, I was doing a little bit of music, just enough writing for myself. I felt content.
That's
you know,
cool.
Going into June of 2012, I was content. I was happy. You know, my definition of success became more real and less fantasy. Because, you know, when I moved here in '86, my definition of success was driven by musical success, you know. And that got tempered in the early 90s when my friends in Soundgarden and Mother Love Bone, which became Pearl Jam, and Alice in Chains, when they all got signed and left, the couple years after that, my definition of success changed because I wanted to be those guys, right? Thought I was supposed to be. I mean, I've been hearing I was supposed to be famous since I was in 3rd grade, right? Lake Louise Elementary School, you know? And so when it finally comes around to June of 2012, yeah, I'm sitting there looking around. My kid is sleeping on my floor, wants to be there. I got a job that's helping me, you know, get out of debt. I felt content.
Does the Macklemore, does the single and all that, that's icing on the cake then?
Well, you know, sometimes I have to sit back and look at it in perspective of all those things that I just mentioned. You know, I answered a phone call and went and sung for a guy. Fast forward to Saturday Night Live. You know, we're on Saturday Night Live, we're doing the live taping, and I'm standing off stage, getting ready, we're on commercial break, getting ready for us to record the segment of us doing Thrift Shop. I'll never forget this, man, because I'm standing there, mic in hand, and it's like, I'm thinking about it. How long had I been watching Saturday Night Live? How many acts had I seen on Saturday Night Live? And I'm on Saturday Night.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But you know, I've got, you know, I'm getting paid to do what I love. I've had a myriad of experiences that I used to dream about. Is it enough? Today, yeah. But like everything else, like the weather, it's going to change. And how it's how I adapt to that change that matters. Not that the change happens, because I can't control that. You know, what I've learned in this journey with Macklemore, we're so cut from the same coat, you know what I mean? You know, the things that he talks about in all his songs, I mean, it was pretty weird. A guy that I hadn't met before, that I went and recorded for, as I listened to more of his music, he was telling the story of my life in feelings. We lose confidence in ourselves, and that causes us not to act in a positive direction. Ben said something very interesting from stage one night. I can't remember where we were. But it was a stadium show, big show, like 25,000 people, right? And he said, remember, without you, there is no us.
And I thought about that. I thought about that a lot. And I thought about we are all the sum, at any given time, we are the sum of our experiences. All of us. If you think about it, I have to go back to a schoolyard in 1966, riding a bike, learning how to swim, graduating high school, going to college, teaching myself how to play bass, coming over to Seattle, renting an apartment. You know, I've done a lot of things. And at any moment, everything that's back there makes up who anyone who's in front of me sees. You know, all of a sudden, you realize that you didn't get from there to here by yourself. There was always somebody. Even when you were alone, you were thinking about somebody, and I've always believed that if you think about somebody, they're there. It's all a part of how I got here, because all those people that I knew, from Ellensburg to the Olympic Foundry where we used to rehearse,
Oh my God.
right? All of those experiences prepared me for whatever was next.
Right.
And so I can't, for 1 second, honestly say I did it by myself. It's impossible.
Very inspiring, and I love you as a friend. No, you're a good dude.
Dude, I'm just a guy.
I know.
I'm just the guy who was lucky enough to have people in his life to teach him how to pay attention. And once I started paying attention, I started learning stuff on my own. And I never, you know, I had a very humble upraising. I mean, I'm the son of a sergeant and a church mom, you know. Very simple sensibilities, you know. Be a good guest, which I have been, which is why I'm still on tour with Macklemore. And, you know, don't, you know, that golden rule stuff, all that simple stuff that we learned in kindergarten, it's true. It works. You know, if you are a good person, you'll pretty much be surrounded by good people. If you want good friends, be one. It's actually really simple stuff.
It's very cliche, but it's true. You surround yourself around good people. You are those who you surround yourself.
You are who you surround yourself with. You know,
that what
that's
you were
correct.
saying?
I'm only responsible for the effort. I leave the results.
Amen.
I leave the results up to the universe, because you know what? You're responsible for throwing the rock. You're really not responsible for the ripples. You may have to deal with those ripples that come back and affect you, but that has nothing to do with the ripples themselves. What I was told once is, faith is not jumping from A to B. Faith is jumping from A.
All right, Wands.
Hey,
It's awesome. Thank you so much for coming by, man.
absolutely. Great to see you guys.
Really good to see
Thanks
you.
so much. It was awesome.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
Well, we're looking forward to the record you have coming out,
Yep.
your first single. We've talked about the book, and thanks for sharing all that stuff. That was it was very inspirational and just good stuff, brother. I really
Hey.
appreciate you taking the time for us.
I don't know who else to be other than me, but you know, I'm always happy when somebody listens.
All right, man. Take
Good
care.
to see you guys.
All right.
Much love.
Much
Book of
love to you.
Wands. We'll be looking forward to it.
See you guys later.
Later. All right, folks. That was the first Strangely Alright episode
Of many.
of many. We're gonna have another one coming up in 1 month, so please take a look. Stay tuned for us, and we hope to see you again soon. All right, take care.
Good night.